The opinions and comments expressed are those of the host and participants and not necessarily the opinion of CINQ-FM 102.3.
Legal dossiers are complicated. Westmount Legal Clinic advises that you consult a lawyer. Legal cases cannot be resolved without a professional.
Thank you, Maz Taylor, our wonderful, wonderful technical producer today. This is CINQ 102.3 FM, cable 88.3 in Montreal, www.radiocentreville.com. Know Your Rights Legal Show, our first show of the fall season. My name is Ted Wright. I'm coordinator of Westmount Legal Clinic. Oh, we even have one hand clapping in the studio. And so I'm your host, Ted Wright. I've been here for a while. Now, Bruce
Hi,
Henry
Ted.
is over there. Can you introduce yourself?
Well, I've been on the show for a while in the spring, I guess, and it's always very interesting, the stuff you cover.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a person with a general interest, but I have to say that today's guest I'm going to be paying very close attention, from loser to seducer.
And we have a new person in studio as well. Jerry Cote, is that your name?
Yes, it is, Ted.
Okay, now what are you doing here?
Thanks, Ted. Nice to be part of the team. Obviously, the rookie here. I'm finally going to work on my passion of radio. It's taken me 30 years to get here, a couple of careers, a couple of decades in the military, and a decade as a freelancer, photographer, journalist.
And you've been all over the world.
Thank you.
Now, we have a guest today. He's been with us before. And Bruce, what was the name of the topic we have here?
Loser to seducer, legally.
And we have Frank B. Kermit here. And what we're going to be talking about is his memoirs and legal deniability. So, Mr. Kermit, can you please give us an overview? First of all, tell us about yourself, and then give us an overview of what your book is about.
All right. My name is Frank B. Kermit. I'm the author of the book From Loser to Seducer, The Story of Frank B. Kermit. This book details the journey of my life. I'm the guy who got stood up at his prom. I'm the guy who had an ex-fiancée and a best friend who betrayed me when he took her away from me. To my face, he would tell me things like, I can't understand how you could like her. She's so difficult. I could never be with her. And at the same time, he's writing her love letters. And that was strike 2 in my life. Strike 3, I was seeing a woman for about 2 years. It was a strictly platonic relationship because she told me she could never be with me because I was of a different religion and a different ethnic background than she. And then after just hanging out with her for 2 years, she takes me out one night and buys me dinner and gives me gifts, and she says she has a big thing that she has to tell me at the end of the night. And of course, I'm thinking, wow, she's going to tell me that she's chosen me, that she's changed her mind. Well, what she told me was that she had an absolute desire to get married to someone else. And when I asked for that other person's name, it turns out the other person was not of her religion and ethnic background. And when I said, well, wait a minute, that's the reason you told me that we couldn't go out. That's why we've been only friends for the last 2 years.
And what happened? I don't believe it. I mean,
if you want to find out how those stories ended, be sure to check out the book From Loser to Seducer. That, for me, was a personal ground zero. And that's when I decided that I'm going to stop everything and finally figure out relationships. I just want to understand how to connect to women. Part of that was to take a 5-year sexual sabbatical, where I did not engage in any sexual activity for 5 years, and spent that time just learning about who I was, what I wanted my life to be about, how I could make a difference, how I can contribute. I read, hundreds of books. I went to seminars. I sought out the advice of men who were very good with women, trying to figure out what they were doing right and what I was doing wrong. Some of my success stories: at one point I was dating 5 women at the same time, having 5 lovers. I had what's called a poly date on a Valentine's Day, which is I brought 2 girlfriends together for the same dinner and the same date, and a few other really good, wonderful stories. I've met some fantastic people, and I also, after a 7-year separation, I got my ex-fiancée back. Although we were only together for a very, very brief time after I got her back, I needed to go through that process to get closure on that part of my life, which is why the caption under the book is that this book is about the pain, the change, and the redemption of a seducer in training.
Our guest is Frank B. Kermit, and the topic of today's Loser to Seducer Legally, and we're talking about his memoirs and legal deniability. What did you do in your book that you couldn't put in the book?
Okay, well...
And you talked off air about how you had to protect people so they have legal deniability. Let's talk about all that legal deniability. Just go ahead.
Legal deniability, that means that I have written the book in such a way where I have changed the names and I have changed the circumstances that if somebody does not want to be identified, they have legal deniability. They can claim that it wasn't them. I have left out all names, all descriptions, any specifics. And I only got to the absolute core of the story. In some cases, I will give a nickname for the person that I'm writing about in the book. There was only one woman that I did, in fact, have to contact and have her read the portions of the book in which she was involved in, and that is my ex-fiancé. There were elements of our relationship that are not in the book. She specifically requested to have certain things removed, and I, of course, I abided by that. But overall, she was very impressed with the way I had written the book, and it was a nice trip down memory lane for her in certain instances. And this book has been very therapeutic, of all things, for me, because she got to read it, and she got a perspective that she had never gotten before, and was able to give me her perspective of the same events. And what I had perceived in my belief structure was different from what she had thought.
Now, Mr. Kermit, I need to ask you a question legally here now. What I need from you is for you to give us an example of something that you could not put in the book, and then what you could put in the book. Like, you can talk about something that is not in the book, but disguise it, don't leave names and everything. But give us generally the stuff you couldn't put in the book because it would allude to someone.
Okay, well, here, I'll give you a perfect example, something that I had already mentioned here on air. I told you about what I call my strike 3. That was the girl that I hung out with for almost 2 years, who said that she could never date me because we were of different religions and different ethnical backgrounds. In my book, I never specify what ethnical background she's from. I never specify what religion she's from. I never specify exactly how we met. I only allude to the idea that we met through the university, but I don't specify if we met at the candy bar, if we met in the cafeteria, if she was in one of my classes, if in fact I had met her through a friend. These are the types of details I would leave out. And I can only give you the basis of the story, so by saying, yes, she was of a different religion and ethnic background, it doesn't indicate anything. So for all you know, she could be Russian. She could be Cambodian.
Now, part of your book is sexual. You were talking about having 5 lovers at the same time. I'd like something there where you could not say something because it might allude to someone, but pick someone that is legally to say it, like sexual occurrences or something like that, and then you have to make sure you didn't say certain things?
In some of the sections of the book, I do get very, very specific and graphic. This is a book that's written for men. And when a man writes about sexual activity in a very graphic manner, men respond to this. This is why I say the book is written for men, not necessarily for women. If I get very specific about the sexual acts involved, I get very, very vague as to all the details surrounding the person I had those particular acts with. In fact, in a number of the cases, I